OCD.
OCD.
The OCD Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the OCD Podcast. I don't know, I just did that. Well, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the second episode of the OCD Podcast. Today, we have a pretty interesting guest. I know most of our listeners already have heard of him. He is from the same school that I went to. He is actually a senior, and fun fact, he used to go to the same grade as my brother did. So I do know him from before, and mashallah, the man has gone on to become a proper bodybuilder, a fitness expert. I would call him a fitness expert. He would not proclaim himself as one, but I would call him that. And yeah, it's going to be a pretty nice episode today, inshallah. So, introducing the one, the only, Ali Tahir. So, yeah, Ali, how are you, man?
Man, I'm doing amazing. How are you guys?
Doing just
Fine,
fine.
alhamdulillah.
Awesome,
So,
awesome. So,
so how's life nowadays?
life nowadays is pretty busy, really busy, I would say. The only free leisure time that I really do get nowadays is just to talk to my parents. That's probably the most time I get. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to.
It must suck for you a lot, like since the gyms are closed and everything in Canada, right? Or like you have your home workout and everything.
Yeah, so here's like the good part. So as
Mm-hmm.
soon as this whole quarantine thing started, I was pretty sure that I was not gonna go a day without the gym. So
Mm-hmm.
a few friends of mine have a pretty good sized garage in their place,
Right.
and so there were a bunch of coincidences that happened, and they were pretty amazing as well. I was literally walking down the road where I found a bench, like just laying out on the road right at the day the gym's closed. So I brought the
Mm-hmm.
bench in. A few of my friends who are really into like tools and like making stuff with their hands. So we sat down together. We came up with plans how to make weights, like do it yourself weights, like with using boxes and
Oof.
using
Oh wow.
bricks and stuff.
Great.
So in 3 days, we had a fully functioning gym in the garage,
Damn.
and
Damn.
we were not making any sacrifices at all. We were getting all of the work done. We were hitting all body parts. We were working out our legs. We were having even more intense workouts than we were at the gym. That is one of the reasons why I was so like pumped up even like during the quarantine. I was having an amazing time. Because not only did I, like get to do those raw workouts like with just basic like raw weights, but also it gave me a chance, because people like me, like who really like to work out, who are into bodybuilding,
Mm-hmm.
we tend to
Hmm.
really get into the technicals of stuff, like how much weight am I lifting, am I improving, every single week, how
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where are my numbers at, where's my how much weight am I lifting. But this whole corona, this quarantine really gave me a chance just to ignore all that, just drop all that, and just to like enjoy the lifting, and that's what I got to do during like the last 2 3 months.
Jeez, man,
Damn.
you are motivated
Damn.
after all these
Yeah,
Bro,
bro,
years.
this is what I love, man.
how do you get into something like that? Can you tell us how you got into the whole bodybuilding scene?
Sure,
Yeah.
man. And this is one question that a lot of people have asked me, and a lot of people tend to assume that, it would have been because of your typical, oh, I want to impress girls, I want to look good on the beach, stuff like that. But it was
Yeah.
honestly never like that for me. I don't know why, but ever since I was like a teenager, like 13, 14, I would I would do like some home workouts, I would do like push-ups at night, just drink a ton of milk.
Uh-huh.
I just had that thing in me where I was like, man, I want to get bigger, I want to get bigger all the time.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And at first, my parents, like back in Saudi Arabia, they were like, "Man, you know how expensive the gyms are in Saudi Arabia."
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
I had to convince my dad. I'm like, "Can I please go to the gym?" For like 2 years, like I had no access to the gym because man, it was expensive. I was like, "Man, I can't really, put this burden on my parents." So I just used to do my home workouts. But like 2 years before leaving for like 1 year, I believe, 1 or 1.5 years before
Mm-hmm.
leaving for Canada,
Mm-hmm.
that is when I finally got a membership for the gym, and that's when I started working out. But yeah, it had nothing to
Wait,
do with
wait.
girls
Okay,
or
Ali,
yeah,
I have a question for you.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you get bullied on lunch back when you were young? Because I know this from someone. Did that
Okay,
happen?
so
You're like
yeah, yeah.
close friends with them now, but did that happen?
Okay, I'll tell you something very interesting about that as well. So, definitely growing up, especially in my teenage years, I would say I have had a lot of drama. I was always in fucking drama, like all the time. I would be involved in either some physical fight, either some verbal shit, anything would be going on. And the funny thing is now, though, that most of those people who I had issues with, I had issues with a lot of people for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of them, I'm like, they support me, I support them. So it's a wholesome vibe now. And obviously,
Very
I had to
nice.
go through that to, learn myself who I
Mm-hmm.
am as a person, and now if you like come talk to me in person, or if you come talk to the people that know me here, 2 3 years, you like nobody here has ever seen me even raise my voice at anybody. I have zero anger, zero
Oh,
anything
wow.
like that. Yeah,
You
so
know, I
alhamdulillah about
can't
that.
I can't imagine you raising your voice. You don't have one of those voices anymore.
Exactly,
I
exactly,
I don't know.
exactly.
It's just
And
it's so monotone and like so, it's so peaceful. I
Yeah,
can't
it is.
imagine you shouting at someone.
exactly. And also one of the things that really, like got me away from all of that stuff is when I got to Canada, I kind of had like, I wouldn't want to label it as anything, but I really went through like a spiritual kind of journey, where you learn about
Mm-hmm.
yourself, where you learn about the world and stuff. So for the past 3 years, aside from bodybuilding, one of my biggest passions, or one of the biggest things that I really love in my life is learning about the truth, to reality, meditating, stuff like
uh,
that. So I do that every
uh,
single day. No matter how busy I get, I'm meditating at least 1 to 1.5 hours a day, spending time on
damn,
reading like
damn.
ancient, like esoteric
Mm-hmm.
stuff. That's something that I'm
Right.
really into now.
Do you like also get a lot into the Quran and stuff like that?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Islamic
So,
history?
one of the biggest things that has changed in my life over the last few years is growing up. I was not religious at all. I would be totally
Mm-hmm.
against everything. I would
Uh-huh.
argue with my parents, stuff like that. They would want me
Uh-huh.
to come to religion and stuff, but I would never be that person.
Uh-huh.
After coming to Canada, though, going on my own spiritual journey, not learning through Islam, but just going through my own spiritual journey for
Mm-hmm.
2 3 years, it led me back to Islam. So it
MashaAllah.
strengthened my faith
MashaAllah.
in that. So now, not only do I genuinely believe in that connection that I have, it's something that I feel. It's not something that I'm just going by the words, or
Yeah,
going
yeah,
by
yeah.
something
You
somebody
know,
told me.
yeah.
It's something that I have a strong faith and belief in, and
Why
it serves
why
me
did
well
that
till now.
happen, Ali? Like, was that because of solitude, or was it because of the
Exactly,
environment
exactly.
in
Yep,
Canada?
exactly. So for me, I've um so before coming to Canada, I got really extroverted. Like I was with people all the time. I was hanging out all the time. As soon as I came to Canada, I knew I had to, like I don't know what happened, but something clicked, man. I knew like, yo, I'm just starting my 20s right now. I have to do something for myself. And what I did was I first came here with a bunch of my roommates, but then I was alone for almost 1.5 years. So, and during that time, obviously I would meet up with my friends and stuff, but majority of those times I would stay alone in solitude. I would be, increasing my knowledge, reading books, just spending time alone, learning about myself, learning about my instincts, my intuition, all of that stuff, strengthening all of that
Mm-hmm.
so that I can
Mm-hmm.
really excel at what I actually want to do in life. And that took a good, and it is still going on. It's an ongoing process, which will obviously keep going on. There's always room for improvement, but definitely I've made some amazing, changes like in my mindset in the last 3 years, and it served me really well, in everything that I do.
Good for you, man. Good for
Alhamdulillah.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks,
So,
man.
yeah, you were telling me you work three jobs. So, like,
Yeah,
what are those
Three
jobs?
jobs?
Yeah, he works
yeah,
three jobs. That's why he's like really busy today.
Wait, what are
yeah.
you doing?
So,
Can you like brief us on that?
sure. So right now it's the summertime, right? So
Mm-hmm.
usually I take most of my courses from university during the fall term and during the winter term. Currently I'm taking two courses in the summer, and on top of that, I'm doing personal training in the gym that I train at. So I'm training three clients right now, almost like 6 7 days a week. And then
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, there's this company here. It's called Skip the Dishes. I'm working for their logistics. So it's a work from home position, and
Right.
it's an
Oh,
8 hour shift every single day. So I'm working 40 hours a week on that. And aside from that, I also work at a security firm. So I basically just ride around town in their vehicles, just make sure everything is okay. And I usually do night
Oh,
shifts over
Mhm.
there.
you. What is the third job?
So it's the first one is personal training. The second one is
Oh, okay,
logistics.
okay. Personal training.
Uh,
How much do you
Yeah.
charge when you personally train
yeah.
someone?
Okay, so at first, when I first started doing personal training, it was basically like a freelancing kind of thing, right? I
Yeah.
would look like people would contact me and I would train them at a gym like privately. But almost 4 months ago, I actually got a job at the gym that I've been training at for the last 2 years. So now I actually
Oof.
work under the gym. So I don't get to decide the rates what they charge, but
Oh,
I just know I
oh.
get paid, you know. But that's it.
Yeah, okay.
I
So,
mean, you get paid.
how did you, get into bodybuilding?
Like
Like,
some
you
kind of
got into
motivation.
bodybuilding because of that, but like,
Hmm.
what made you get into, you
Like
started
yeah,
to
yeah,
get into competitions, you
for sure.
started to, and where did you learn about bodybuilding as well? That's what I want to know.
For sure, man. So with bodybuilding though, at first when I started, I honestly had no idea what I was doing. And back then, like, I didn't even have like any mentor, you know, somebody to tell me what to do. So when I first started, like for the first good 2 years, it was mainly just trial and error. For the first good 2 years, you could say I could have used that time better, but then again, I was learning on my own. Every single thing that I
Yeah.
know, I was learning on my own. I was doing my own research. I was failing. I was maybe succeeding a little bit. I was failing again, so it was a really like a yo-yo cycle, you know, going up and down in terms of my
Uh-huh.
progress, because I really did not know what I wanted to do and how to get there. But over time, as I kept doing it, kept at it, and one of the most important things was I kept at it consistently. I think in the last 4 years, there's probably been just like maybe a week in total that I've like constantly missed at the gym in the last 4 years. No matter where I've been, even if I've been traveling, even if I'm doing anything, I'm still making sure I'm hitting the gym. So during that time, you know, I developed an okay physique, but like I think 2.5 years ago, in Canada when I was working out, one of my friends just like literally jokingly asked me, he's like, "Man, why don't you compete? You know, you can literally just cut down and you could give it a try." And I was so spontaneous at that time. I was like, you know what? That's
Uh,
a very good idea. I had no idea how all these competitions worked. I had no idea what it took. I had no idea what anything was. I just had this like pure determination. I was like, you know what? I'll give it a try. You know, I feel like I can do this. So I took 8 weeks on my own without a coach, without any help, without anybody, and got down to like that 6% body fat, all natural, no steroids, no nothing.
damn,
And that
damn.
competition, when I stepped on stage, I felt a lot of amazing things in my life up till now. I've had a lot of moments of euphoria in my life. But
Mhm.
that moment when I was on stage, when there were like 500 people in the crowd, when the cameras were on me, when the lights were on me, and when I was hitting that pose, all of those efforts of like 2, 3 years condensed into like, you know, 10 seconds, that feeling, nothing beats that. And after that day, I was like, man, I have to fucking keep doing this for the rest of my
Dude.
life. It's the most beautiful feeling in the world. Not because people are admiring you, but because you
Hmm.
work so hard for something, and it's like, you know, you're sculpting yourself. It's like a piece of art, you know, you're constantly sculpting from
Yeah,
like
Right.
every single angle. You got to build that perfect symmetry, you got to build those perfect proportions, you know. And
yeah, yeah,
it's like a work of art that you can always work on. And I'm the kind of person, I need to be working on something all the time, you know, I need to be
yeah.
progressing
Uh-huh.
in something all the time. So what bodybuilding has also allowed me to do is that it has given me like that base in my life which I'm always progressively getting better at. On top of that, that allows me to, you know, venture out into other things because I have this very nice stable base which gives me this you know, intrinsic feeling of always progressing. So with that kind
Hmm.
of a attitude, I can achieve other things in life which I want to, you know.
That is true. That is true. Once you start, when you know you can be so committed to one thing and you've
Exactly.
accomplished yourself in it, it gives
Exactly.
you motivation to, that I can do other stuff and I can accomplish myself in other stuff. And another
Exactly.
thing, when you're so healthy, right? When you're
Uh-huh.
eating healthy, when you're living so healthily, you're
Right.
so much more active.
Right.
You can get so much more stuff
So much
done,
done. So much, yeah.
and
And
that is why I have nothing done. I'm sad.
no, you
Dude,
just gotta start,
Ali.
man. You just gotta take the first step. Yeah. What's up, Ashtar?
Yeah. I you have a great physique, right? But I have to ask, like, not
Yeah,
everyone has this kind of physique. What was your genetic baseline like? Like, where did you start from? Because like Real is like very obese, and like I'm very lean. I'm like ultra lean. So like, where did you
right.
start from? What was your
Sure.
baseline?
Sure. So one of the things that should really give you guys hope, when it comes to this, is I'll say it straight up. I honestly don't have even like good genetics. I honestly have very bad, like not bad genetics, but I would say I have like very average genetics. Genetics that you really have to work hard with to get to where you want. So the
Mm-hmm.
amount of effort I've put in over the years, if somebody with way better genetics than me would have put in the same work, he probably would be doing even better than me. But that is to say, no matter the type of genetics you have, it only gives you an excuse to work harder to where you want to get to. And it
Mm-hmm.
instills that kind of like work ethic into you. So for me personally, I started off as I wasn't skinny, I wasn't fat, I was the worst. I was the skinny fat type,
Skinny fat, yeah, yeah.
Ooh,
the in
yeah.
between, and that's the place you never want to be at. So it because I was skinny fat and I did not know what I was doing, it took me trial and error to figure out what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to cut down, whether I wanted to bulk up, whether I wanted to cut down. So, I was kind of like yo-yoing up and down. But then I figured, like what works, and yeah, now we're here.
So since you don't have like an excellent genetics or anything like that, do you ever
Mhm.
think of juicing, like just just going for it? Because
Sure,
like in the
yeah, sure.
IFFB Pro, right? Everyone
Yeah,
juices
yeah,
there. So
yeah, for
like,
sure.
what
So,
are your
so
plans?
about that, yeah, I'll let you know about that. So up till now, I have not touched anything. I have not touched any steroids, no nothing, no pro hormones, anything like that. The first show that I did, I was all natural, and even the last show that I did, which was in Toronto, I was all
Hmm.
natural, and I was the only natural person at that show in Toronto. Like my coach, in my last show, I actually was with the coach. My coach
Hmm.
told me straight up, "You are the only person here who is natural. All of these guys are on SARMs or on steroids, stuff like that."
Hmm.
So for me, honestly, personally, I'm a student right now. I'm trying to build my life. I'm in my 20s. That is the most absurd thing I could do to myself financially, mentally, physically. So right now, like I told you, I'm trying to build myself in all aspects, right? I'm here meditating, I'm trying to learn the truth, I'm trying to have this stable mindset.
Hmm.
Steroids, stuff like that, it literally throws all of that out of the window.
That is also
And
true.
for
I
me, I'm not totally against that either. So for me, I'm only 21 right now.
hmm.
I plan on competing next year. So
Right.
if I ever qualify for the IFBB naturally, in hopefully 3, 4, 5 years down the line,
Yeah,
then I
sure.
might consider it. Especially when I'm in a place financially and mentally where I'm very stable. Where I can easily like afford that stuff, because even that stuff is not cheap. Like
It
going on stuff
definitely
like that, you gotta make sure that when you're coming off, you're taking the right protocols, you're not permanently hurting your body, stuff like that. So for me, my goal right now is to really maximize my natural potential,
so
and
you
I
have
know
not hit your plateau yet,
no,
right?
no, no, definitely not, man. I'm making the most progress nowadays than I was like age like a few years ago, which is even crazy to me because
Oh wow.
I thought maybe because I've been working out for so long, I might have
Mm-hmm.
like topped my potential. But here's the good part. Um, even if you're training for a long time, that does not mean that you've hit your potential. Why? Because even if you're training for a long time, you might be your programming might all be wrong. You might be doing the worst volume, the worst intensity. So I've been fixing my variables over the years, and right now, even though I've been doing this for like 3, 4 years, I'm making the best progress I've made in a long, long time. I can see it visually. So for me, there's no reason for me to think about jumping on stuff like that if I'm making progress naturally. And not only that, it also helps me feel amazing, like in general, like because I have like all this energy, and I know I'm natural. I'm feeding my body with good food, hydrating myself, just staying healthy, and also looking
Yeah.
good. So I like this lifestyle, but definitely if I ever qualify for the big league shows naturally, then
Mm-hmm.
definitely I will think about it and I will consider it. But for now, at least for the next 2 to 3 years, I don't have any plans of enhancing myself at all.
Okay, what about
Uh-huh.
supplements? Like, what are your go-to supplements? Like, there's a lot of like shady stuff in the market, right?
Yeah,
What do
yeah,
you
for sure,
recommend?
for sure. So, I was, like everybody who gets into the gym, first off, they're like, okay, what supplements do I take? That's like the worst thing, right? But we all
Mm-hmm.
go, we all go through that. So,
Uh-huh.
over the years, I've actually cut down my supplements instead of increasing them.
Oh,
So
wow.
the only supplement that I really only take is a protein powder, which I don't even drink. I usually make my meals with protein powder. So because I like to eat my calories instead of drinking my calories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
let's say I would make like my oatmeal with like chocolate protein and like peanut butter stuff like that. So that way I can eat my calories and eat the protein as well, right? So that is one of the
Yeah.
supplements that I use. And the other supplements, they're not like technically like bodybuilding supplements, but they should be a part of your overall health, especially if you're trying to like optimize your testosterone level, stuff like that. I take
Mm-hmm.
zinc, magnesium, vitamin B12. Sometimes I take ALA. It's an alpha lipoic acid. It helps
Yeah, yeah.
digestion as
Yeah.
well. And I also, you know what? I'll just give me a second. I'll have to check.
Yeah, yeah, check it out. We really need that info.
Yeah, so I also take maca. Maca is like it's from ginseng. Ginseng is like a
Mm-hmm.
herbal root. It helps with immunity. It helps with like anxiety and stuff. If you ever have that, I take boron. Boron is a natural
Ron,
mineral.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. How does that
yeah.
help you?
It actually has there's actually a lot of studies on it done, and it like helps you raise your testosterone by a little margin. But I found it to be really beneficial for me. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of that, I take vitamin D3. Um, I take in a lot
Right,
of sun, but I also supplement with vitamin D3. I think it's one of the most important ones. And
right. Yes.
the one other supplement that I do take is creatine. And
Creatine,
yeah,
is
that's it.
that really as
Yeah.
much as people hype it up? Creatine, is it really
No,
that
there's
important?
to be honest, it's it's not important at all. Like I have periods where I completely leave it out for like a year, and then if I feel like it, I just start taking it back. What it usually does is it just increases your ATP just by a little bit. So let's say if you were doing like 10 reps with a certain weight, maybe
Right,
after taking creatine you would be able to do 11 reps or maybe 11 and a
Hmm.
half reps, so it just increases your
True.
ATP a little bit, and
right.
it also increases your water retention a little bit. Because it increases the water retention in your body, it also gives you a slight illusion of being a little bit bigger, not a lot, just a tiny bit. But yeah, creatine is one of the safest, the most safest
Mm-hmm.
supplement in the market. And if you ever wanna, like take it, it's all good. It's a very simple little
Bro,
thing.
do you swim a lot? Is
I
swimming
do
part of your
not
training?
actually. I don't.
You don't. I actually
No.
did not expect you to because
Yeah.
I don't know. Just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're reading me well, bro. You're reading me well.
yeah. What are your what do you, how do you train normally?
How do I
Every
train?
day, like, can you go let us go through your weekly,
Is that
Sure.
before the
weekly
Corona
workout
thingy
routine?
or after
So,
it?
man, if it's
No,
been
but
the
like
same.
it's.
It's actually been the same.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, because I told you, right? We set up the gym. We could continue with the same routine that we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So for me right now, how I'm training is I train each body part at least twice a week, and that's the way to go. Especially if you're a natural lifter, you have to hit your muscle groups at least twice a week to see optimal growth. And that is one of the mistakes that I made at first when I didn't, know anything about bodybuilding. Is I
Uh
went
huh.
into the gym, I followed a bro split. A bro split is basically when you train each body part like individually, like I'm training chest today, I'm
Yeah.
training back today,
Yeah.
I'm training. I wasted my time doing that for like a year, and as soon as I switched to a split where I was hitting every body part twice a week, that's when I saw the most optimal results. So I've been doing different variations of that over the years, and right now um, currently focused on my weaknesses that I'm trying to bring up for my next shows. So right now I'm trying to really bring up my upper chest. I'm trying to really bring up my arms, my lower lats. So my split currently looks like on one day I would train back and biceps and abs. The next day I
Mm-hmm.
would train chest and triceps. The next day I would do legs. I would take one day
Uh,
off and then I would do chest and back, and then I would do arms and shoulders, and then I would do legs, and that's the whole week. So I would work out 6 days in a week and with one rest day.
so, bro, help me out, okay?
Yeah,
I'm fat, so yeah, can you fix that? Like, no, I'll fix it, but like, tell me how to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
man. Honestly, like as cliche as this sounds, it all comes back to your diet. You could be doing the most in the gym, but if you don't have your diet figured out, you can't really make any progress. The most progress I've ever made has been truly, because I changed my diet and I completely flipped it around.
Uh
So,
huh.
like, you really need to start tracking your diet at first. So for me, I'm at a point right now where I look at food and I can tell how many calories, what are the macros, what's going on with it, right?
Damn.
But at first,
Damn.
I had to track everything. There's this application, it's called MyFitnessPal. You can download
Right.
it. It's got everything. It's
Okay.
got all the products in the world. You can literally scan an item and it will tell you the exact amount of calories it has. So do that
Okay.
for a few days to a week. Get an idea of how much you're eating every single day. Track
Right.
your weight every single day, like, and take an average by the end of the week, right? And
So
then, yeah,
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I had a question. Okay,
yeah,
so I'm very sure I know the answer to it, but I still want to ask. So I
right,
do this thing where I don't eat anything the whole day, and I eat like a really nice meal at night.
right,
That's
right.
wrong, right? That's wrong, right?
So do you eat just one meal a day?
Mm, sometimes, yeah, I do it a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, that's actually not a very good thing to do because the less amount of number of meals you have, it does take a toll on your metabolism a little bit. The reason why you
Uh,
see like the whole thing thrown around about bodybuilders eating like 4, 5, 6 meals a day is because the
yeah,
smaller your meals are, the more frequently you're eating, the more you're getting those protein spikes in your body, the more your body is able to build muscle, the more your body is able to metabolize all the food, right? So
yeah,
even if you don't want to eat all those meals, what you could do for a person like you who likes to enjoy, like
yeah,
a meal, is you could
yes.
definitely do intermittent fasting. That's what I did for the last year. I don't do that anymore, but I did that the whole last year, and it worked out really well for me. It gave me the opportunity to eat the food that I wanted and eat like just two
Uh,
meals, right? So what you basically do is you fast for like 16 hours of the day. So let's say I
Right.
slept
uh,
at 12 a.m. I woke up at 12 p.m. and then I didn't have my first meal until 4 p.m., right? And then from 4 p.m. till 12 p.m., the 8 hour window, I have one or two meals. And then I fast again for 16 hours. This is a very good way to have like meals that are fulfilling and not be cooking all the time. And also, it also helps your metabolism kickstart.
sorry. Okay, what do I do in that 8 hour window?
And that 8 hour window is when you eat all of your food for the day. So you could have your first
All
meal
of
at
my
4 p.m.
food and
Yeah.
like okay, so my food has to still be like non fat containing food, like it has to have real less fat
No,
and
no,
a
no,
little
no.
less
Or do you
carbs.
just
No,
track
no,
like the
no.
calories?
So for starters, I would say just track the calories. On top of that, don't worry about the fats. Fats are actually the things we men really need. Like fats, like good fats, I'm talking about. We actually really need them because fats are the things that basically make sure that your hormones are in good condition. Your
Uh-huh.
testosterone is good. Everything else is good. So don't avoid fats. Make sure like right nowadays I'm getting like 80 grams of fat every single day in my diet, and
Uh-huh.
when my fat was really low in my diet, I had my blood tests done and my testosterone was really low. Ever since my fat has been good in my diet, my sleep has been good, my testosterone is really good. So make sure you're having a good amount of fats in your diet. Don't stay away from fats. As for the carbohydrates, you don't have to cut them out completely. Just go moderate with them. Because with these things you have to make sure that everything is sustainable, right? You don't want to crash diet, you don't want to
Uh-huh.
lose all that weight, or you don't want to gain all that muscle and then lose it all back, right? You
See,
want to do
there,
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
on, go on.
yeah, so you want to do something which is sustainable for your lifestyle, which you can do on a day-to-day basis without it feeling like, oh man, I'm working so hard. Oh man, like when am I gonna get that?
Yeah,
It should be something which you
yeah,
feel good with, which you feel happy with. Nowadays, I've finally gotten to a point where I can eat as much as I like, and I don't get fat. I just get stronger and like look better. But it took years to get to this point where my body
Right.
metabolizes the food so well now, and I don't get fat because the right now I'm in a gaining phase. I'm trying to gain muscle. I've done this in the past, and when I've done this in the past, I would just get fat because my body was still not in that spot
uh-huh,
where it could eat, it would utilize all that food to build muscle. But finally, after like all these years, now it's at a point where I'm eating to the point where I'm full. Like I'm full. I'm enjoying the food,
uh-huh.
and I'm not gaining fat. I'm just getting stronger, and I'm slowly gaining muscle.
Damn. very
Okay,
Mhm.
nice,
wait.
bro. The thing is,
Mhm.
yeah. Go on, Ashtar. Go on.
Do you think these keto paleo diets are just bullshit, or do they actually work?
I was gonna ask the exact same question. I was gonna say what you told. He once told me that keto is not sustainable.
Yeah.
I Someone explained that to me, and yeah, I would
Yeah.
love that.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. So with these diets, there's nothing inherently wrong about these diets, but the problem is these are mostly fads. You know, you got the paleo diet, you got the keto diet, you got the, like the high protein diet, you got all of these different diets, right? And all of these
Yeah.
come on the end of the extreme kind of like non-sustainable factors because realistically, how many days can you go on without like carbohydrates? Do you really can you really go on without carbohydrates? When I go like when I'm competing, I have to go without carbohydrates for like the last week or the 2 weeks before the competition. And trust me, my brain, the way I function, it's completely 180. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm operating from because I have no energy. I have no carbs in me, right? So that is something which is not sustainable. And I never suggest anybody to do that. And like none of my clients I've ever put them on such a diet. I've always put them on diets which are sustainable, which they can enjoy, which they can look forward to, and that's how you lose weight or you gain muscle. You have to enjoy the process. This isn't a punishment for you guys. This is something
Uh
that you should be enjoying. So don't
Makes
think
sense.
about the extreme like this diet, that diet. Just have a balanced diet. Just make sure that you're burning more than you're eating, and you're good to go. It's not that complicated.
Mhm.
yeah, you know what's the problem with me? Me as a person, I
Hmm.
feel like I always want to go on a crash diet because that is just me as a person. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, bro. I'm like, okay. So to lose weight, I need to do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna
Right.
lose this much in these many days. I'm gonna do
Right.
that. I want to get over with this. That's
Yeah.
my thinking, and that is
Actually, the
wrong.
first
I believe.
the first client that I had actually ever in my life,
Uh,
he actually came to me and he told me, bro, I've been doing the paleo diet and I lost a lot of weight, but then I gained it all back. And then I trained him for
uh,
3 months, and he went from 110 kgs to 82 kgs. And ever since,
Oof,
he's been
Rayan
the same.
higher, you need to
And
higher.
he
bro,
gained weight.
bro. Listen. Damn. Okay. So listen, I act. Okay. So what do you mean by trained him 3 days? Did you also give him like a meal plan with
Yeah,
his
everything,
and
everything.
and I feel like when you're doing weight loss, you don't actually need any of the gym equipment, do you? I think it's mostly running, right? And I know running is one of the best
Yeah,
exercises to
wait
lose calories.
for weight loss, you could literally be sitting at home and losing weight if your diet is on the right
Yeah.
place. That's all that matters.
So
Obviously,
please give
it
me
helps.
something, man. Like, I mean, I know you gave me tips, but I wanna know, is there some stuff you would like me to cut out? You know?
What's your current diet like nowadays? Like, what would you say?
um,
Tell him, Rayan, tell him.
basically, basically, I have breakfast, right? And
Mhm.
I look. So nowadays, I'm still fasting because I had a few
Right,
fasts I wanted to do.
sure,
So I basically, before Fajr, I have, I don't have anything. I have water. I have maybe a kebab, and now the kebab is basically barbecued. So I have
right.
barbecued chicken, a little of it, like really less. And when I open my fast, I eat a lot. By eat a lot, I mean I'll be
Okay,
drinking
so
a liter of milk
no. What I,
with a bunch
what
of
I would,
fried food.
yeah, what I would suggest you do, and this is one of the biggest mistakes every Muslim makes and every
Uh huh.
person makes in Ramadan, especially, is
Uh huh.
like a lot of people have this question. They're like, man, we're fasting, and even though we're eating, like okay amounts at iftar, but we're still getting fat. Why are we getting fat? Even though we're like fasting and stuff. The reason
Mhm.
why that's happening is because when you fast all day and then you suddenly like consume all that food, it's like your digestive enzymes are not working are not working the way
Uh
that they usually work. So when you throw down all that food immediately, even if you're not eating a lot, you're gonna feel the effect way more. You're gonna feel way more bloated. You're gonna feel more.
yes.
So the smallest
Yes.
thing you can do when you're after opening a fast is actually open with something very light, and then later on in the day
Uh
when your digestive system is back up and running, yeah,
Mhm.
consume all you want. But when you're breaking a fast, never do that. That is the worst thing you can do, especially when you break a fast. It nullifies the point of the fast, and it literally cancels out
it
all.
does nullify the point of the
Mhm.
Yeah,
fast. Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. No, but I do this that I don't eat much starting, but like after half an hour, I'm destroying some food.
yeah, exactly. Just give it like a
So
hour
yeah.
or two, and yeah, you're good to go.
So, bro, another thing, do rice have a lot of carbohydrates?
Rice
I mean,
do have a
I
lot
don't
of
think
carbohydrates, but they're not. They've been given a bad rep for some reason. I have always had white rice. I have them every single day, but not a lot,
Oh,
just like 60, 70 grams, you know. But it's not
Okay.
bad at all. It's actually one of my favorite sources of
right,
carbohydrates
right.
right before the gym.
Bro, white rice is so bland. How can you have that? Okay, no, you can.
I
But
mean, have it
it's
with
so
something,
bland.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
So, bro,
go ahead.
Yeah.
yeah. So I was gonna ask about something totally off the topic, but bro,
Mhm.
I see that mashallah, you have this really nice car, and how did that come into being?
For sure. So, man, ever since I was like 12 years old, this car, first of all, let me just clear this. This car has nothing to do with, like letting people know, like, oh, I have a nice car. Nah, nothing. Like,
Yeah.
zero. Ever
Uh,
since I was 12 years old, I wanted a Dodge Charger. Every single year, I would have pictures of a Dodge Charger saved in my car. Every single year, I would
uh,
tell that I want a Dodge Charger. I want a Dodge Charger. I want a Dodge Charger. And right before going to Canada, like, I almost got to that point where my father was like, you know what, I'll get you a Dodge Charger, but it never happened. So when I first
uh,
got here to Canada, I got my first job, started making some money. I was like, you know what? The first thing I'm ever gonna do is I'm gonna get a car. And the thing is, at that time, I did not know a lot of like international students who had bought a car here or who knew what
uh-huh,
to do. So I was like going in it blind, right? So
uh-huh.
like I think 4 or 5 months later, after working, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pull the trigger. I just told my mom and dad I was like, I'm gonna get this car. I got the car, and
You
yeah,
got it on lease?
You bought it on
I
your own
paid.
money?
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
much
I
you
paid
paid?
I paid like 4 or 5 thousand down, and I've been paying the finance for 2 years now, and it's
Oh, okay.
I have like almost like what 9,000 left on the car. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice, man. That's nice.
A lot of my friends are now finally, they're like, man, we saw you get the car. Now they're finally also working up towards that. Now they're like,
Uh,
you give us the path, we're gonna follow it. So now my friend got
bro,
a Challenger, another
yeah, yeah,
Chrysler.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, how did you like? Do you still self? Do your parents still pay for your education, or are you doing it on your own now?
So my parents pay for my university fees, but I pay for like my expenses here, my car, my rent, my food, everything else.
I feel like your father must, no, sorry, your mother must be really impressed by the gym
She
stuff.
is, she is actually. You know what? Honestly, like I never had like I always loved my parents, but growing up, I didn't have the best relationship with them because I
Uh
just
huh.
wasn't in the right state of mind. I was
Yeah, yeah,
honestly
I
an asshole.
understand.
I was honestly an asshole.
Yeah.
Ever since I got here, like one of the biggest blessings for me is that my parents are the happiest they've ever been after looking at me and what I'm doing with my life, and that is
Oh,
Uh
wow.
huh.
honestly my like biggest motivation because like I told you, I'm into like like meditation, all this stuff. What that has taught me is I'm really not really attached with my ego at all. Like this persona
Yeah.
that I have, Ali Tahir, bodybuilding, all this stuff. Yeah, it's
Everyone
a huge
knows you
part of
like
me.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a huge part of me. But at the same time, I'm completely disassociated from all of these things because that's how it should be. You should never be a
Yeah,
slave to
yeah,
your own ego, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so for me, even though I'm doing all of these things, partially for myself, I'm mostly doing it for my parents because once, like, I've given them the life that I want to give them, I'm happy, like, living out in a jungle, like, sitting 10 years. I don't mind. I don't
I
need
love
anything.
that.
I'm good.
I love
So,
that.
you know,
I actually love that.
yeah,
So, okay, so I need to, I want to expand upon this. So basically, I do have the same thing. I believe that we owe our parents everything,
exactly.
Everything
everything,
they did.
and
Exactly. Yeah,
the least we can do is at least make them happy, man. At least make them happy. And it's not like, yeah, it's not like they want anything from us. They just want us to be
our
successful.
happiness.
Like that is so unconditional love. They're not asking us to give them money. They just want us to be successful, and that's for our betterment. And if we can't even do that to make them
Exactly.
happy, then like shame on us, man.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Shame on us.
And one of the things that has really, like been a blessing for me by working on myself, not only have I, been able to do the best for myself in terms of the life I want to live, but it's gotten me to a point where when I talk to my parents now, they talk to me and they want advice, they want to listen to what I have to say. 2, 3 hours
Man.
every single day. I'm counseling my dad, I'm counseling my mom, I'm counseling my older sister, I'm counseling all of my friends, and
MashaAllah.
that is something I love to do, not because, oh, look at me, I can help you. No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, 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 yeah.
I genuinely feel like, my heart is open and I want to give. Why shouldn't I give? So
And it, yeah, and it also feels amazing that like they respect you, like they know that okay, this guy is smart enough, like
right,
itna, like he's intelligent enough to advise us, he's mature enough
He's
to advise
gotten to
us.
that point of self
right.
growth.
Yeah, and,
Yeah,
and and it was never like that. Like they wouldn't even listen to a word I
yeah,
had to say. It's not
bro.
something like I was always like this. I was never like this. But
I
now,
don't mean to insult you, but like I remember you because you were in the same class as my brother. Okay, I
yeah,
remember you were one of those cool boys, you know.
yeah, it's times change, man. People change.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, people do change, and yeah, and this is like a thing. You can change your life whenever you want. You just have to be
Exactly.
ready to start
It's
Exactly.
never too
And
late.
somewhere.
and for me, one of the biggest things nowadays, like apart from my own kind of like growth, is helping like my like my inner circle. I have a very few amount of people that I really like, like really like chill out with or hang out with.
Uh huh. Uh
I like to mostly spend my time in solitude when I get the time. But the people that are close to me, trust me, man. If you ever talk to them, I've done like all I can, to instill that light of curiosity within them to change their own lives, to do the best for their parents, to do the best for themselves. And it's an amazing vibe, They respect me, I respect them, and we are all trying to grow
huh. Uh
together. So yeah,
That
Nice.
is nice. So, did you fast in Ramadan?
I did, but not all of them, unfortunately.
Uh
But
huh.
I did.
I guess I asked because I think it might have something to do with your gym thing, and
It
that's
actually
why.
really helped me because with the gym, like right now, like I told you, I'm gaining. I'm trying to gain. So my last competition was in July of last year, and this
Mm-hmm.
is the first time in my life that I've taken a whole 1.5 years to actually just gain. Just straight up gain.
Uh
Because I plan on competing next year now in 2021 in summer, and
Hmm.
hopefully my
huh.
parents will also come to Canada during that time, and they get to see the competition in real life. But
Oh,
yeah, that's something I'm
very
working
nice.
towards. But what those fasts really help me do is really just kind of like refresh my metabolism, just give my body a break because I've been eating so
Yeah,
much
it
and doing
cleanses the
all this stuff.
body.
So it just gives my body a breather, and also
Mm.
in the context of meditation and prayers. When you're eating all the time, when you're bodybuilding all the time, your body is not in the best place to just sit down, meditate, stuff like that. But when you're fasting, when
Yeah,
there's not much going on in your body, it gave me the perfect chance to, like meditate, stuff like that. And there's this
yeah.
application
Right.
that I was using called the Waking Up application, and I was tracking how much I was like meditating, and it was I think like 700 minutes in the last point, like 35 days. So it really just gave me a chance to
So
do
it
that.
does help. You're sticking to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, Ali.
Yeah.
Hmm. Ali, how does sponsorships work? When do you start like getting a fitness brand to start sponsoring you? When do you become like a part of their team? Like, how does that work? That whole thing.
Sure. So with the sponsorships, there's actually a lot of like scamming going on as well. But so what some of the companies are doing nowadays is they're making these ambassador programs where they ask like these little kids, like little teenagers to become ambassadors, and then they ask them to buy their own
Mm,
products, and then it's like a scam.
mm,
So, but
mm,
if you really want to get into the whole sponsorship game and all this stuff, you have to obviously have a following. You should have an engagement in your city, and you should have an influence as well, right? One of my
mm.
friends, he's in Toronto. He's actually doing really well. He got sponsored by one of the best, like fitness companies, VQ. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but he's doing really well in that context. But for this kind of stuff, it does like behind the scenes. You kind of have to be um, I'm not gonna say you have to be an attention whore, but you have to have you have to have a certain element inside you which is craving for that recognition. Because if you
Yeah,
actually want to get
Right.
to a point where you're getting all that engagement, all those influence, and all that stuff, I know all the people who have done that have to have like stuff running in the back end, like like support groups, like people just liking each other's pictures, commenting without a reason, stuff like that on the
Mhm.
back end to show to the public that hey, we got engagement. So for me, honestly, I'm enjoying my bodybuilding for myself. I'm loving it. I'm sculpting my body. like that for me is not a concern. I want to like build my best physique. Like I don't really
Uh,
care about sponsors. I like what I care about is going to a point where I'm at a point where sponsors come to me all the time. Where I'm like in the IFBB, I don't reach out to anybody, they come to me. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
like I'm focusing just on working on myself, and there was a point last year where I really got into like the whole social media game. I was like, you know what, I'll bump it up. I'll like really like speed this thing up. But then
Right.
it lasted for like 3 4 months. Then I was like, man, what am I doing? I just want to focus on my own thing. Enjoy
Mm-hmm.
bodybuilding and just step
yeah.
away from it. And that's what I've been doing for the last 6 7 months.
I do remember you partnered up with a brand,
Yeah, like two brands.
Redcon.
Yeah, Redcon, and there was like
Yeah.
another one.
Were you? I feel like that was an affiliate thing, right? I don't think you were
So
like an ambassador.
with the Redcon, there's this company. It's a Canadian brand. It's one of the best actually Canadian brands out there. So
Oh wow.
they had this it wasn't exactly an affiliate program. What they were doing for me was they were giving me 50% off like on all of their products.
Oh,
And and it's something that I like love. Like I actually love their products. It's not like, oh, they're just giving me 50%, I'll take
yeah,
it. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually like the best products that I was already using. So I was like, you know what, I'll take this. And with my affiliate link, if anybody purchases their products, I get a
they
certain
get
amount of commission from that.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you get a cut.
yeah.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that's how it works.
That's affiliate marketing. That's
Yeah.
really nice. That's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
nice. It doesn't have any drawbacks. It's pretty nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
nice.
pretty
That's the
cool
best way to
actually.
work with a company.
Yeah. And
Uh,
yeah, and actually I'm actually gonna go out right now after the call to get a
yeah.
workout from the same company because I'm out of them.
So, do you buy? Do they have a store, or do you just like get it from any store?
So they have an online store, but they're available in all supplement stores. Their products are available in all
Right.
supplement stores. Yeah.
Bro, is fuel cheap? I know you. I'm pretty sure you have your car. I'm pretty sure you went on a vacation the other week, so
Yep.
you
Yep. Yep.
just drive, right?
Yep. Yep.
But I
So
think fuel is really expensive in these
no,
other countries, man.
it is compared to Saudi Arabia, of course, because Saudi Arabia is
Saudi
like
Arabia,
anomaly, like.
yeah, yeah,
But
fact.
especially like when Corona was going on, the prices really dropped. Nowadays, um,
Yeah.
I probably spend like $140 a month on my fuel for the car. And when I tell people this,
100.
people are surprised. People have like Honda Civics, which are costing them $200 a month, whereas my Charger is costing me 140 for the whole month. So I'm really happy with yeah.
It does it really have that good like mileage, or did you do something
What's
to
that?
it? Like how much it fuel
I
generate?
actually fucked the mileage up because I straight piped it, and I straight piped it, and I also did something else with okay, so there's this plug there's in all Dodge and Chryslers, there's if you go into the fuse box, there's this fuse. It's called fuse 31A. If you remove
Right.
that fuse, it disables the car's fuel economy kind of system. So it goes all
Uh,
out. It gives you all the power. So I've done those two things, but it's still not giving me like bad economy. So I'm happy with it.
yeah,
So you're a car
nice.
guy as well. You're in
Yeah,
the car.
yeah, I am. And the most recent thing, if that's of any concern, like obviously if we're just like talking about the things that I'm doing right now, one of the
Mhm.
biggest things I've been into for the last 2 years is just like trading. That's something I've been into as well.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Oh,
e- elaborate, please.
yeah, elaborate.
So I started with forex trading 2 years ago. Now I'm into also like stocks and stuff, but primarily I do like forex trading on indices, not currencies. I used to do currencies, but now I do indices like the. I'm not sure if you guys know about like the SP 500 and the Nasdaq 100. Those
Oh
are like
yeah,
I
yeah,
really don't. Oh yeah, I know about Nasdaq. Yeah, I do
yeah,
know about that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I question. No, you do it on that website called Forex, right?
No, I actually have this platform. It's called MetaTrader. Um,
Okay.
I have a broker who's in Australia. It's with Vantage FX. That's my broker.
how do you know what you're doing?
How do I know
How
what
does
I'm
it
doing?
how does it work?
Yeah.
How does like trading work?
The stocks, right? How do you know what you're doing? Like,
Right.
are these the stocks to invest in? Should I not invest in
Sure,
that? Like, where do you get
sure,
your
sure,
information?
sure. So I'm mostly a technical trader. I really don't like. fundamental trading. Some people do that. Fundamental trading is basically where you read, like research into the company, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
For
That's
me,
too much. I don't
yeah,
do that.
for me, I just learned the charts, my strategy, stuff like that.
I see.
Um, yeah, yeah. So that's what
So
I'm
you,
mostly
so
into.
you do, so you do currency trade, right,
I used to, but now I usually just do the indices. It's pretty much the same thing.
bro? Bro, so like, how exactly does it work? Because I have also been interested in it. Like, I realize how much like imagine what currencies do you do it in actually? Can you tell me
There's
that?
one of the most common ones is the Euro USD, which is one of the most volatile pairs that you can trade. Other
You know,
than that,
because of
yeah,
Brexit, the euro and the pounds, both of them
yeah.
dropped real hard,
Actually,
real
one of the reasons, like one of the like when I mentioned in the call at first that this whole Corona thing really gave me the
hard.
opportunities that I wanted. What I was
Yeah,
honestly
yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah.
about was it gave me the time to sit down and practice my art in this sense as well. So and also because these few last few months were amazing opportunities in the market, like because the market
Yeah,
was
yeah,
down,
yeah.
everything was
Mhm.
down. If you knew what you were doing, you could have really
Yeah, yeah.
profited
You
really
buy
well.
a lot of it, you buy a lot of it,
Yeah.
and then after a few months, the prices are gonna go real
Yeah.
high. You
There was
sell
actually
and you make a profit.
yeah, there was actually a day when I think it was oil prices were really down, and
Yeah, yeah,
I had read on the news that Russia made a deal with I think Saudi Arabia, and that was the day
Mhm.
when I purchased like three stocks of like crude oil, and the next day they made me like I think $1 or $2,000 in like 5 minutes.
yeah. Damn! Oof,
Gee,
oof. Well,
gee.
bro, so damn, that's actually bro, I realize this. What my father does this thing, which is
Hmm.
really intellectual, I think. He
Right,
keeps all of his currency in dollars, US dollars in
exactly.
Pakistan
That's the
right
base
now.
currency, right?
He doesn't because the thing is every day the rate
Hmm.
between the Pakistani rupees and the dollars keeps the Pakistani rupees keep on devaluing. They keep
Right,
on devaluing. Like it
right.
was 120 40 or something a few
Hmm.
months ago, and now it's at 165. It's
160.
gonna go
Hmm.
to 170. So if you keep your money in Pakistani rupees,
No,
you're
that's the
gonna
worst
have
thing.
less. You're
Yeah,
gonna have less dollars. Keep it in dollars, you're gonna have more rupees over
exactly.
time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the
it's just
basis of
better
it. That's the basis of it.
yeah, it's better
Wait,
to
have
have your
you
money in USD in Pakistan.
have you gotten into like cryptocurrency
Yeah.
since you're like whole into stock stuff? Do you do that?
Yeah, so the thing is, first, I started off like with Bitcoin and stuff, right? That's what I traded at first. But over the years, I've realized the amounts of promises that were done with those things were not really living up to the potential. Because especially during these Corona times, what happened was
Mm-hmm.
like 3, 4 months ago, when all the economies were falling down. Everybody was expecting Bitcoin to be stable, to be this and that. But
Right.
one day it literally dropped 5,000 points. And that was the day when I was like, you know what? This is something I really do not want to put my trust into. So ever since then, I've just been trading mostly stocks and indices. 'Cause you can make a shit ton of money on indices. Trust me, they're the most volatile things in the planet. They're moving like crazy. If
Mm,
you know what you're doing,
Oh,
I don't get me wrong. I've blown my accounts. I've like as a student, I've lost one, two, $3,000. Which I can't afford to lose. But I've done that. I've taken the risk because I have to. If I don't take the risk, I'll end up with a 9 to 5 without doing without achieving much. So I might as well take the
mhm.
risk and fall on my face than live a average life.
Bro, I do understand that. And
Yeah.
I would actually suggest why not, I don't know if you have the business mindset. If you do have the business mindset, if you do like
Hmm.
going in being an entrepreneur of some sort, why not just start become an entrepreneur? Small trading, really small trading.
No, that's what I've been doing
And
on the side. That's what I've been doing constantly on the side. So that's the plan for me right now. So even though I'm doing my computer science degree right now, I'm starting my third year now. But I'm at a point, honestly, I've even talked to my parents about this. I have on the side, I have multiple sources of income, like personal training, all of this stuff, and I'm even trading on the side. So if before, like my degree finishes, I'm at a point where I'm so financially stable, I'm chilling, then I might even not, like consider completing my degree because I don't need to. So
yeah,
obviously that's a big if. But for now, my focus
Yeah.
is definitely on completing it. But I'm definitely doing all these things on the side to make sure that I'm financially free, in a few years.
Do you like computer science? Are you doing it for fun or what?
Man, to be very honest with you, the only reason why I chose computer science was, first off, I had no interest in anything at all, like any, like any degree. I didn't want to do anything. Okay,
Right, right.
but the only reason why I picked computer science was that was the only thing in my sight that gave me the opportunity, and it gave me the forelook that I would be able to, show my creativity. I was like, this is the only degree that I can really do that I can be creative at, like make my own stuff like that. So that is
Uh-huh.
the only reason why it intrigued me, and that is the reason why I'm doing it, because it allows me freedom. I don't have to, like, confined to any
I
certain
see, I
things.
see.
I'm learning languages and I can do whatever I want with that. Especially
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
because it can aid my trading in the future. Because if I get good at trading, then I can code my own systems and my own algorithms to do the trading for me, for my own insight.
Ah, I
So
see,
they
I
both
see.
come
Uh,
hand in hand. Yeah.
Mhm.
well, yeah, that was. I don't agree with stocks though. I've never found stocks. Stocks have not just hit me the right way ever. I don't know. Do you do stocks?
Yeah, I
A
do.
lot of
I've actually
them.
started doing them very recently, and they've been actually a really good break for me because they're actually really easy than compared to like forex to the forex market.
Yeah, they're easy, and the thing is that for me, it was just like I used to go at it in the way that when you invest in stocks, the
Yeah,
company you invest in, if they deal in interest,
right.
It
it's
becomes
not
Oh
good
no,
to me in the
haram.
so,
religious way,
right,
so I just didn't
right.
do
So
that.
with stocks, you don't have to buy entire stocks. So what I do right now is, the interest part comes when you buy whole stocks, right? When you buy whole stocks, the companies pay you dividends and stuff like that. But what you can
Uh,
do is you can just buy call options. Call options are like small amount of the stocks, just leveraged into a bigger amount. That way, you're not buying the stock at all. You're just buying a small part of the stock without getting any dividends or anything. You're just predicting the price outcome. That's it, and you're getting what
oh,
you put in, how much you're gonna profit.
oh,
That's it.
okay.
There's no dividends. There's no nothing.
So there is a
Ew.
way around the whole
Oh.
interest thingy.
Yeah, yeah. Because you can trade. It's called options trading. So if you look into options trading, you can learn a lot about that. So options trading is really good if you don't have a lot of upfront capital. You can use a small amount of money to buy small amount of leveraged stocks to get into the game.
Would you ever consider get making a gym as
Yeah, yeah,
a
that's
source
that's
of
actually one of
income?
my plans. That's actually one of my plans.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, like inshallah, in a few years, if I'm
Inshallah,
stable enough, that
inshallah.
is one of my goals. Because it's a very good, stable source of income, and I would love to have my
It
own gym.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Even
It
right
actually
now,
is.
during this
Hmm.
quarantine, the small gym that I did make in the garage, like I got a small hint of what it feels like to own a gym because 9, 10 of my friends would come every single day in that small garage and we all would be lifting. So I kind of got the feeling of it. So that really
Yeah.
made me want to like actually get my own gym.
Bro, okay, a question.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm really fat right now. So does that mean I do also have more muscle mass compared to people that are normal? Or does that mean I only have more fat?
It could be both, right? So some people who are a bit overweight do carry a bit more muscle, but I know a lot of people who are fat and they don't carry any muscle mass, right? So it depends on your body type
So
and
I can tell you that
yeah,
I do carry a bunch of muscle mass.
you do.
Like not a lot, but I do have more muscle mass than Ashtar here. Okay,
Oh,
what up,
okay.
man?
Oh, nah, nah. Who lost in arm wrestling? Okay. Is arm wrestling like a good
Whatever.
measure of strength, Ali?
No, it's not. It's all about
No.
technique. It's all about technique.
See,
Yeah, I see.
Because
yeah, he used to flex. He used to flex to me so much, that he's beaten everyone in arm
see, the
wrestling.
thing is, like here's the thing. Like even if you see me, like I'm not like the biggest guy in the gym, right? But when people come up to me and they ask me my weight and how much I can like bench press and stuff, it is like they're always surprised. They're like, "We can't believe you can do that." So what that proves to like everybody is that it's mostly about the technique and how your central nervous system is adapted to certain movements, right? It's not about how big you are or how strong you are. These things are mostly about technique and stuff. You can see the most strongest people in the world, like the elite power lifters in the world in the Olympics, they look so small. They don't look like
Yeah,
giant. guys, it's because
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have the
I get.
technique, they have the central nervous system adaptations to pull those weights. So it's not always about, if you're like pulling weights that you're the strongest. No, it's mostly about technique and how well you can perform these things.
But I'm still
Oh,
stronger than Ryan, so there's that.
Uh,
okay.
I
So,
also have one
I'll
more
leave
question.
that to you to debate.
bro, if you have seen this guy, he is a stick compared to me.
Give
Bro,
me
you
advice,
Literally a
know
man.
stick.
Give me advice to get.
with Ashtar, if that's the case, it's actually really amazing for him because I always tell people like Ashtar, even like bro, you guys know my best friend Ziryab. I think you might know him.
Yeah,
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 I know him.
even he's got a body type which is like very skinny, you know. But what I tell to all these people is that they're actually very lucky because you guys, it will take you more time to build muscle, but the muscle that you do build is gonna be pure muscle. You're gonna get jacked
yeah.
like in a longer time, but you're gonna put on straight muscle. For people like us, we're gonna gain muscle quickly, but we're also gonna gain fat quickly. So we'll have to cut down later on. But for you, you're gonna gain muscle slowly, but it's gonna be good hard, strong muscle, you know?
Take that, Ryan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
bro, do I need to lose weight? Do I need to lose weight and then gain muscle, or do I need to just? How do I get strong? Because I don't
Guys,
wanna. I do wanna be strong so that I can at least defend myself as a
right,
person
right.
and defend my
So
family.
yeah, so
Ever.
I hope that never comes to that point. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Ever.
what I would suggest you do is here's the thing: when you first start lifting, when you first start working out, there's this period of like there's a time period like of 6, 7, 8 months where you experience like these thing called newbie gains. I don't know if you've heard about it,
Yeah,
but
yeah. New
basically
weekend.
what happens during that time is you can almost work out like a person who's enhanced. You can lose some amount of fat and you can gain some amount of muscle. I can't do that. I can't ever do that in my life until I'm natural. For me right now, I can either gain or lose. But for you guys, if you're just starting out and if you guys know what you're doing for the first 8, 9 months, you can make immense amount of progress in the first 8, 9 months.
Oh, wow.
That's why I tell everybody when they're starting out, use your time wisely when you're starting out because you have that golden period where you can make the best gains of your life.
So newbie gains
Uh,
are a thing. It's not
Yeah,
like.
there are definitely are a thing. You can literally like I've seen so many people who have used their new begins, like in the right way, make the most amount of progress in the smallest amount of time.
Oh, wow.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, who's your favorite bodybuilder? I wanna ask, like, who's your
sure,
inspiration,
sure. So my inspiration, honestly, like even though I compete in men's physique,
right?
honestly my all-time favorite was Frank Zane. I'm not sure if you
Frank
guys know.
Zane, that's legit my favorite as well, cause
Yeah,
of that
yeah.
vacuum pose, man.
Yeah,
That.
by vacuum. Yeah, and I'm always doing the vacuum. It's because of him. Bro. My morning routine nowadays. Every single
Mhm.
morning for the last 4 months, when I wake up, the first thing I do is 30 minutes. I do vacuums, like straight up
Oh,
30 minutes
gee.
every single day,
Oh
and that
man.
really helps tighten your waist. It really helps give you that V taper.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
really
mean,
Bro,
important.
how
yeah.
long do you plank? Do you plank?
I actually used to, but I don't really do that anymore because when I'm doing my compound movements like deadlift stuff like that, I'm already working out my core a lot, so I don't like to work it out more.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people tell me this. They're like planking is not isn't the best thing because like you can plank for like so long, but like
Right,
what are you even doing? Like you aren't making your mental that much stronger. The people
right,
say it's much better to run, like run for 3 miles. That's better, like because you
right.
without stopping, you're testing yourself more that way.
No, so
And
with planks, the goal is to
yeah,
make your core stronger, and your core it
oh,
gives
okay,
you support on everything, on every exercise, on everything. But when you're doing the main three compound movements, when you're squatting, when you're bench pressing, when you're deadlifting, you are already working out your core a lot. You know what? I've never really trained my abs directly in my life, but I have good abs, right? Everybody
You
has
do.
those
yeah.
abs. It's just that you work on your core indirectly through all of these other movements that you really don't need to spend time. Like you can obviously if you want more blocky abs, more like even defined abs. But for me, I'm okay with these. Obviously, I'm gonna work more if I get the time. But right now, my time only allows me to do like the main compound stuff, get stronger at those,
Right.
not really focus on
Bro,
like the
I'll say this. Do you know about the accident that Kevin Hart got into?
I'm not too sure.
So
No.
basically, he did get into an accident in September, and it was a really lethal accident. So basically, the thing about Kevin Hart is he's really is into fitness. He has a personal
Right.
trainer, so he's always been really healthy and fit, and he's also really strong. So the
Right.
thing that saved him, yeah, I was listening to him in an interview. The thing that saved him from getting permanently paralyzed was the fact that his core was strong. The doctors told him,
Mhm.
Even if your core wasn't strong, 100% he would have gotten
That makes
paralyzed in his
complete sense. Yeah,
accident.
because
His spinal cord would have broken.
it supports your spinal cord as well, and also
Yeah.
going about the vacuums. The one of the reasons, other than making my waist look smaller, the reasons why I do the vacuums is it
Right.
also strengthens your spine, like your whole core, and it like really strengthens your spinal cord as well. So it gives you
Oh,
a really nice support if you do it every day.
Vacuums look so weird.
They
So
do.
weird,
it,
man.
it
Kids
looks
freak
so
out. Some
good.
people love it. Some people hate it. Girls hate it for some reason. I don't know why.
Bro, it looks weird, extremely
Yeah, it
weird. You
does.
look like you're anorexic for a second. For
Yeah.
a second,
If
the guy.
people see that in real life, they're like, "What happened to your? Where is it?" You know?
Well, so where does it go? Like, don't
It,
can you do it only on an empty stomach?
It has to be
no,
that
no, I can
lean.
do it full stomach as well, bro. Yeah,
You
You
can,
can.
no, can oh you can?
yeah, I can, I can. I've been doing it for a long time.
Where do your internal organs go, honestly? Like the
It
vacuum.
actually hurts. It does hurt, you know. Like when you pull it all the way up, it's actually pushing your organs back, right? So it does hurt a little
Oh,
bit, but you gotta hold it. I've tried holding it for like a minute most.
them vacuums.
Well, bro, I realized this
Yeah.
that is there like when people I actually did not understand this. I thought that if you're having pain while you're
Hmm.
lifting and all that, I feel
Hmm.
like that's not. I thought you're doing it wrong. But I
If
feel
you're having
like now
pain.
that I've heard
Mhm.
so many slogans, no pain, no gain. I feel like when you are lifting, it should hurt, and your muscles should like break apart,
Right.
be
Oh,
strained,
so
and then
mhm. So with
yeah. Can
that,
you elaborate?
yeah. So with that, there's like honestly different kinds of pains. Okay, if you're feeling a stinging pain, like a radiating pain, that's not the way to go. What they mean by by the no pain no gain is when you're pushing yourself to the extreme in a very safe way. So when your form is perfect, when you're not having any pains that are directly in the muscle, overall you're just feeling fatigued. You're pushing through that tension, through that through that motion. That's the kind of pain that they're talking about. Because when you're doing the exercises properly and when you're really contracting the muscle, you're gonna feel the contraction. That's a form of pain, but it's not pain. It's just
Uh
it
huh.
doesn't feel too nice, but it's like you're contracting and you're really squeezing the muscle, right? That's the
Uh
kind of
huh.
pain that they're referring to when they talk about no pain, no gain. That doesn't mean just hurt your shoulder or hurt your chest or stuff like that. If you feel pain, like stinging pain, radiating pain, stop immediately. But
Oh,
if you're
I
feeling the
see.
contraction, if you're feeling tension in your muscles, if you're feeling a nice pump where like you feel like your muscle is about to explode from blood, that's what they're talking about. That's
ooh.
the pain that they're talking
Okay.
about. Yeah.
Have you ever
Damn.
gotten like a
Well,
serious injury? Like something that
No,
made you
Alhamdulillah,
bad?
no, I have not. I have not. And that is one of the things I'm actually really surprised about because everybody I know, every single person I know has had
Yeah,
at least one major injury. Alhamdulillah, and I hope it stays this way, but I have never had an injury, no.
nice man.
alhamdulillah, very nice. Bro, I'm honestly like so grateful that you gave us this much time. You said that you'd give us 30 minutes. You said you'd give us 30 minutes because like you're so busy. No, it was amazing. It was very nice
Really,
talking to you.
very
You gave us
insightful.
so much information.
Mhm.
Very insightful, honestly. And we're so thankful that you gave us like literally half an hour more
I'm
because
glad, bro.
like
I'm
thank
glad
you
you
for the
guys enjoyed.
kindness.
I'm glad you guys
That
enjoyed, and I had an amazing time, man. It was really nice catching up with
thank you.
both of you. And honestly, really even proud of you guys for starting this podcast as well. Because man, I know so many people like
Thank you.
Thank
from
you.
back home who are not really doing a lot with their lives. So to see
Yeah.
like my juniors, doing this stuff, I'm really happy, and I'm glad that you guys doing it, and you have my full
Thank
support for
you.
this. And I hope
Likewise,
Thank you,
man.
you
man.
guys go a
Likewise.
long way, inshallah.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we
I
really
actually,
appreciate it, man.
yeah.
No
I
problem. And
hope
where are you
we.
guys gonna upload this?
Oh, so we uploaded everywhere. We
Yeah,
uploaded
this,
iTunes, Spotify, Google
Awesome.
Podcast, YouTube.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Awesome,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, man. It was very nice talking to you. Take care. Have a
Yeah,
good
for sure.
day.
yeah,
You
man.
know.
Anytime if you guys need anything, you can always hit me up. Ashtar, you as well.
Thank
Anything,
you, man.
hit me up. I'm always here. Obviously, man, I'm always here, bro. Always. And
Thank you,
yeah, just
bro.
take care and best of luck with the podcast as well.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you, man.
Take care.
All right, guys, take care.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
And yeah, everyone, that was all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed, and please be sure to leave a good review or a 5-star rating wherever you are listening to it. If you're on YouTube, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and Spotify, iTunes, everywhere. Just be sure to subscribe as well and leave a good rating. Thank you. Take care. Bye.